All right. Hey yo, what's good? What's good? Back with back with the ball legend himself, Prescott. We back at it. Don't show that. Not show. Do not show that. Stone Cold Steve Hedston.
I'm the Jason Statham of sports, dog. Like you.
Hey man. Hey, you getting some more beard there, bruh.
Yeah. I'm letting
Yeah,
it grow back out again. I
yeah,
want to. I'm gonna really get some lusciousness to it.
get your lumberjack on.
I'm trying to be marvelous, just like you.
Hey, I appreciate you. Well, you got to get this to be like me. You can't get that. Can't get that. Hey, but we got 1 week till the NFL comes back. Well, actually, 4 days actually, but 1 week until our first NFL Sunday is back. But college football just getting underway. But everybody's talking about the Colorado and the TCU game. You watch the game?
I was slipping behind that and Utah State and Iowa just because I had money on it. But yeah, I actually watched quite a bit of the Colorado games
You bet
as
on
well.
Utah State?
I had Utah State because they were like -20, and I was like, I don't even know if Iowa can even put up 23 and a half because they were 23 and a half point underdogs when I placed the line on it. And I was like, I don't even know if Iowa can put up 23 points. So I'm absolutely taking.
Oh, you took the points?
I took the points. Yeah, I did. Not on the money line. I took the point spread on it because I
Oh,
always do like
I,
four
I
game.
thought they covered. I thought they covered.
They did.
Okay, I thought
Yeah,
so.
they lost the game, but they covered. Yeah,
Okay, I thought they was. What was it 24-10, something like that?
it was something goofy like that.
All right, but I was stuck on the game because all the theatrics, all the hype, all the talk with Deion Sanders coming to Colorado and bringing his luggage, make sure it's Louis. That shit, that
That
was
was
it.
great.
Yeah, I was like, yo, because 1-11 last year. Then the first game, usually a lot of these big teams, their first game is against like a squash team, a team that you're expected to blow out. But nah, Deion was like, nah, we finna go
Oklahoma
get
and
some.
Oregon just beat the brakes off of those
Yeah,
small schools, which is what you
yeah.
expect.
Yeah, that's what I thought Colorado was going to do. I thought they were going to play like I don't know, just somebody like super small, like one of those teams. But they was like, nah, we're going to go against a big dog. And then when they put the line out, I was like, oh wow, that's disrespectful. 20 and a half. I was
Well,
like, all
it's
right, I'm a
it's weird because like I understand. So like this has always been my thing. Like TCU, we haven't really thought about them since LaDainian Tomlinson, basically. So I mean, like to me, last year was kind of an outlier year. So I didn't really think that they
oh,
were
they've
like as
been
far
pretty
as
good
like
the last couple of years.
they've been good. Yeah, no, they've been good. But I mean, like, as far as like us putting in, what if I do word association with national championship caliber team? It's always Bama, Georgia, Ohio State. Sometimes it's USC, but not recently, at least until the last year or so. But like we don't consider them to be a squad that's actually going to compete for national championship. So when they made it to the championship game last year, I was like, I don't know if this is a fluke or not. And apparently it was because they went from number 2 in the country basically to number 17. That shows you something. And then you see Deion just brought like all the talent from Jackson State that he could, and other players across the country, and they just came and they did their thing yesterday. It was good to see.
Offensively, it was a nice shootout. I feel like honestly, if those receivers would have caught some of those deep shots early, because if you weren't watching the game, like Shador was dropping dimes early, and they were dropping them. I feel like Travis Hunter dropped like a 50-yard touchdown in the end
That dude
zone.
had to be tired. I mean, I know that was
No,
early in
this
the
was
game.
like before, like this was like early. Like they
Right.
had just got the ball back and they were going to go up 14-0. And the momentum would have really kicked in at that point if he caught that. But I was like, yo, and he wasn't the only one. Like they had like a couple other guys drop a couple like deep shots that hit him dead in the breadbasket. I was like,
I
bro,
love that. I love that phrase too. Hit him right in the breadbasket because that's an old man
oh,
saying,
that
dog.
is
You're
the
too
old
young.
man saying. I
You're
don't
too
even
young to be saying that,
know.
bro.
Hey, I am, bro. But hey, hit him right in the breadbasket. I'm like, damn, y'all dropping them, y'all. But I will say this: Colorado on as far as DBs and receivers and backs, they got it. But as far as big boys, they are lacking.
That was the
They're
one thing that I
lacking.
noticed. That was one thing I noticed because like I basically watched the entire first half of Utah State, Iowa, and then almost the entire second half of Colorado at TCU. So I can't speak obviously for what happened at the beginning, but what I was realizing later on in the game is the broadcasters made a pretty good point of it was late in the fourth. and TCU was averaging like 10 yards a carry. They had 190 yards on the ground just in the second half, and then went away from it. And it seems because they're a little slim up front. And if that's to me, that's just bad coaching at that point. If you're averaging 10 yards per carry, I don't care if it's on the ground, 10 yards per play
Dude,
is pretty good. And you went away from it, that's bad coaching.
they were gashing them. Like it was like Trey Sanders was gashing them. Like it was
Yeah,
so bad. It was so bad. I'm like, no, granted, Colorado couldn't really run the ball like north south, but what they could do was get to the outside and their guys can make plays outside. But like
everything that I
they
saw
gotta
from them
get
was
their interior, they have to get that together.
yeah, everything on the outside seemed like it was a big play because they had that other Sanders had that swing pass to his running back out of the backfield that put them up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like everything that I saw that was working for them, like you said, was east west. But if they can do something in the trenches and be able to do stuff up the middle when they need, like it doesn't have to be your entire game plan, but circumstantially, if you can do it when you need to, if they can get that right,
Yeah,
Colorado's going to be good, dog.
they'll be good because Sanders, man, Sanders played almost a perfect game, man. He played as good
Over
as a game as
500
you can
yards,
get.
no turnovers.
Like all his decisions for the most part, like all his decisions were really good. He didn't really make any bad throws. Look, the first deep shot he took was underthrown, but other than that, all his throws were on the money. His decisions were pretty much solid. And people, the whole like, oh, he played in the FCS. I'm like, he played there because he wanted to, not because he had to. Like,
Right, right. And
like
the narrative is always
dude
like,
was getting Alabama and Georgia offers. Let's not forget that.
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that people want to. They think that just because your original destination is your final product, but that isn't how that works. And like you said, Sanders had offers to go to big time programs, but wanted to play for his dad, wanted to play for an HBCU school, wanted to help build the reputation back up of those programs, and like you get to see what he can do with and like even though Colorado I don't consider them to be like a great football team overall right now, but you can see the power of just Deion Sanders and
Mm-hmm.
then how special his kid is. Oof.
Him and Travis Hunter.
And
Dude,
Hunter, yeah,
Travis
he's
Hunter
that dude,
played
man.
110 snaps yesterday.
That is
You know how nuts
bonkers.
that is.
The last time I saw anybody do that was me on Road to Glory on NCAA 13. That was the last time anybody did that.
Dude, that shit, like that's some NFL street type shit. Like he's
Yeah,
playing both sides. And he played great on both sides.
both
He
sides.
wasn't
Dude was
even like
dominant.
he wasn't even like tired for real. Like he was playing great. What was it?
11
He had
catches.
11 catches, over 100 yards. He had an interception. Did you see the interception he got?
I did. And
Dude, you can't even like I don't think most NFL corners can make that pick.
no,
Because the dude was open. I
he,
saw the dude wide open, then he just shot in the screen.
he almost had another one in the fourth too. Like he was
Yeah, he
basically
dropped that one. I was like, bro, if
yeah, he
bro,
was running the
damn.
route essentially for the guy he was covering. And man, if he picked that, it's like,
He
dog,
just
this
jumped
down.
him.
This guy's a top five pick. Just quit.
The question is, because I know he wants to keep playing both ways, but when he gets drafted, are they gonna let him?
We'll see, and that's the problem he's going to run into because like if we're going to do this from a cross platform of sports, it's almost like Shohei Ohtani. Like, are you going to pay him like he's going to be a starting pitcher and a hitter, and because that's basically two roster spots that
I
you
mean, he's
don't.
elite at both though.
If
Like
right,
he's elite
exactly,
at
yeah.
both. Like
Ohtani is, and so
it's
is
not like
Hunter.
he's average at both. He's the best at both. He's probably the best corner, and I don't think he's the best receiver, but he's probably one of the top 10 receivers. Like
It's wild, dude. Because yeah, like that's the thing is like since they're and because there isn't a cap like in the NBA, there's a super max contract, like you can't make more than this. There isn't that way in baseball or football. And if they use him on both sides, I think you have to compensate him that way. But if they're trying to isolate him to one side of the ball, he's gonna risk his monetary value. But I don't know if you can play 100 snaps each day on Sundays.
I don't think you can do
That's
that.
gonna be taxing. I don't see that happening.
I mean, but then again, some guys are just different. Some guys are just different. Like I don't think
That's also
anybody can do
true.
that. But I truly think you could have a guy but the positions have to match. Like certain positions you can't play both ways, at least in the NFL. Like you're not playing running back and then playing linebacker.
Yeah, you're not doing wide receiver then defensive tackle. That ain't how that works.
But you can do O line and D line. I think that could work.
I
Or
think that could work.
tight end and
But
D end.
yeah, in like wide receiver corner, we've seen that like with Dion, we've seen that happen as well. So I'm like, I think it's possible. I wouldn't. I think
I
at
feel
some
like
point in time he's going to specialize on one side or the other. But at least in college, at least for this year, like I would imagine that he would continue to do as much as he can.
no, I think especially if he keeps this pace up, then I mean I don't even know. The thing is, it sucks that he can't go to the draft this year. He has to wait till next year.
Yeah,
But dude, if he keeps doing this, I'm like, bro, like you might as well let him. Some people are just different. Bringing back the old days in the 50s and 60s when guys played both ways.
I yeah, I think that that would be a really cool story. But I just think that there's too much money at stake now. Where if you play both sides, you're going to get injured. This is just based off like all of the metrics that we've seen over like when you have a certain amount of snaps, especially like the running back position is something that is obviously getting a lot of talk about when it comes to the amount of snaps and where you're getting hit and by who you're getting hit from. But I would imagine like he's 19 years old, 20 years old. He's got the energy to do it now. This isn't going to be sustainable into his 30s by any stretch of the
No, no,
imagination. So
no.
I would think that at some point in time, he just has to figure out, do I want to be an elite wide receiver or do I want to be an elite corner and just be the best at that? Because I just don't see it being sustainable for that long at the next level because he's certainly going to get there.
Nah, I think the best case scenario for him at the next level would be to get the most value out of him would be to for him to be full time on defense and part time on offense. So
I
if you
agree
put like
with
a
that
package
100%.
with if you put like a few plays in there for him to go on offense, because with corner, I mean, let's like I mean, yeah, you're playing every possession, but you're not in the action every possession. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
you know, you're not gonna be as burnt out. So, you know, you could get him if he plays like, you know, like 90% of the snap, not 90, like 75% of the snaps on defense, and maybe like, you know, just 10 to 15 plays on offense, you know, just to make defenses have to look at him. I think that'll maximize what he does in the NFL. But shit, seeing this kid's attitude, he's gonna be like, nah, start me both
Everywhere.
ways. Don't pull me
Everywhere.
out. Don't pull me out. You know, like Antonio Cromartie, don't pull me out. Like,
Because he can't.
yeah, yo, Antonio Cromartie or Phillip Rivers, who pulls out first?
Nick Cannon is into the group chat.
And now entering Sean Kemp, all these guys.
that group text would be wild between
Oh
the
my god,
dog.
god damn, man, that's ridiculous. I don't know how people do that, but you know, I'm excited to see what they got for him. And but I want to switch gears to the NFL, and you were just talking about how the running back situation, and I'm trying, and in my head, I've been trying to figure out like how to fix it because with the running back, that's the only position that where the more you do, the less your value is because they see that as wear and tear instead of just production. So
Yeah.
I've been trying to think like I feel like running back shouldn't be paid. I feel like instead of 4 years and a fifth year options, it should be 2 years with a third year option. I feel
So
like
they
that's
can,
the best way to do it.
so that they, so, excuse me, so they can hit the market earlier and actually be able to
Yeah,
secure
they
a
can
second
hit the market
contract.
earlier. And I feel like once you have a certain level of production, then your minimum value has to go up. I don't think a team should be able to. So I feel like if you were a guy, let's say you into the market, you just had like a 1,500 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. Like you shouldn't be having to get like you should have to get like at the bare minimum 8 million. Like that should be your minimum. Like I think that would probably fix it for backs.
There's a lot of things that I've gone back and forth on this on my podcast as far as like how we treat running backs and how we compensate them or how we should is for me, I've always looked at it as one, if you're looking at total production and yardage and everything like that, running backs tend to create more than just the wide receiver, right? You're getting, essentially about 1,000 yards on the ground and maybe a few hundred yards through the air. And there's some guys like Christian McCaffrey who can, on any given year, if they're healthy and have a good enough quarterback and things like that, could give you 1,000 for both, even though it's highly unlikely.
Hold up, what
And
you gotta do? Oh, okay. I'll record it because I'm recording right now. Yeah, because it's picking it up. I'm gonna get it. Yeah, I'm gonna check it for you. I will. Yeah, just put it on the plate. Yeah, just put it on the plate. I'm gonna put it in there. Yeah, I'll put it on the plate. It's in the refrigerator. All right. Yeah, that's gonna be a nice little blooper.
that's not getting edited either.
Nah,
Leave the whole thing in there.
nah, it's not. Not. It's going that way.
That's
But
not making the cut.
nah, that's going in there. Fuck it.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, it's just always been kind of a weird way that we look at running backs because you value them for their production, but you don't want to compensate them for it. And to me, like if we're putting the benchmark at 30 years old, anyways, which seems to be the lazy caveat that, or not the caveat, but the lazy way that we interpret this is like once you hit 30, you're pretty much done. And it's not just running backs; it's everybody except for Tom Brady and Brett Favre and Drew Brees, essentially. Like
Jerry Rice.
like Jerry Rice, yeah, like there's a handful of dudes, but for us to like they've ruined football and they've ruined sports because everybody thinks that they can just do that now and play until they're then. But we know that to get the best production, you got to get it early. So for me, I'm with you. I've also made the argument that when it comes to contracts, they should all be 3-year deals, nothing more, nothing less. Because when if you outkick your coverage initially and you get paid, some guys get lazy. Some guys they overproduce and then they get undercut because they're running backs or whatever. But
Mhm.
I just I think that the stigma behind taking running backs early needs to go away because you're paying them for those prime years anyways. And if you're going to replace them, that is a replaceable position. I understand that to a degree, but like get rid of the stigma of you can't take a running back in the first round because I'd rather pay him on the first round and give him his money up front when I know I'm going to use him, but just not pay him the second deal. That's the way that I've always kind of looked at it.
And I've also just said, just be real with the guy, because the whole Jonathan
Yeah.
Taylor situation is bothering me. Like
Oh my God,
it's
it's so
hard.
frustrating because he's like, I'm not hurt. You put me on the PUP list. I can't play for 4 weeks, which means that it is going to hurt my stock. And this is what I said on my episode the other day was he's got two options: either ball out of control and get the hell out of Indy once that 4 week is done, like play week 5, just have a monster game and then rise your stock, or he can sit it out and make a big stink about it and say, I'm not going to play because of how you're treating me. And maybe the value goes down and maybe he doesn't go anywhere, but then he can hit it as a free agent. So he's in a lose-lose situation, and it
Yeah,
sucks because like I feel like Jim Irsay has just backhanded the hell out of this dude, and Taylor doesn't deserve
and
that.
Chris Ballard is too. Did you see that? You see that bullshit Chris Ballard said about him?
I remember him saying something like they were trying to repair the relationship. He thought it
No,
was
not that. No, no, not that.
what was the other?
He said
I may have, but
like they were asking why they won't pay him, and he was like, because we won 4 games last year. I'm like, oh, so you're just
okay,
blaming
because that was Jonathan Taylor's
Yeah,
fault.
that was his fault. And I'm like, that was his fault. Okay. Like if we're
And
being
it's though what's wild to me when it comes to like the Colts specifically, because every team kind of values positions differently and players differently because they're humans.
Mhm.
What's wild is the fact that Ursay is saying like Ursay and Ballard, we want a first rounder for him. We got him in the second round.
But you don't want to pay him. You don't want to pay him like a first rounder.
Yeah, so what you're saying is like I want to get first, and to be fair, because I understand how negotiations work, you always start high and you work your way low. So it's one of those things where like, yeah, you're shooting for the moon, but if you land upon the stars, like you're okay with it. And that seems like what they're doing. I want Jalen Waddle. Well, you think that Jonathan Taylor's Jalen Waddle? Then pay him like he's Jalen Waddle, or what Jalen Waddle is going to get paid at least.
Hmm.
So the other thing too is like when you look at this, if you're trying to tank, and this is what I think Indianapolis is trying to do. I think what they're trying to do is tank again and get another top 5 draft pick because
I mean
like
that roster is
it's
just like weird. I don't even know.
it's
I
so bananas.
like it's just strange. Like I don't think they have like a terrible roster like on paper, but like I just like it's just weird looking at some of the names. I'm like, oh shit, it's like you still got Quentin Nelson. Like they're like what made their offensive line good is still there,
Right.
but your receiver like Michael Pittman Jr., his stock like took a major dive last year because Matt Ryan took a major dive last year. Because
Well,
like
see, and that's the
you don't
thing for
know.
me. Is like, that's my argument has been Indianapolis can't be good if your most famous player is an offensive guard.
Yeah. I mean,
That's not a good look.
yeah. And then like, I don't they're really trying to hold that man Jonathan Taylor hostage. Like I think that I don't know how true this is, but the rumor is the Eagles offered a 2 and a 7 for Jonathan Taylor and they turned it down. That's a rumor. And another rumor is that the Packers offered AJ Dillon in a third for Jonathan Taylor. Which I don't think those are bad deals, especially if you're not trying to pay him. But
The
like,
Packers one, yeah, because I didn't hear the actual rumors about. I heard that the Packers were rumored to have made an offer, but I
yeah,
didn't
I looked into it like that. Like there was like that was what they offered. They offered AJ Dillon in the third, which I would have been like, okay. Well, if I was Indy, I would have been like, okay, because
Well,
AJ
yeah,
Dillon was already paid.
yeah, you know exactly what Jonathan Taylor is worth, and if you don't want to pay him that, you might as well get it. You're getting a running back who is still good, and you're getting a third round draft pick. That seems like it's a pretty legit deal. And the thing is, like both of these, I think that in this particular scenario between Indianapolis and Green Bay, they're both fighting for the same thing because they're under like a similar circumstance, is they both have young quarterbacks. Jordan Love is like he's been the system but hasn't really started. And you have Anthony Richardson. Like you need Jonathan Taylor if you want Anthony Richardson to be good. But
And the
if
Colts
you
don't
don't,
have
if
shit
you
else in the backfield. The
right
Colts
because they
backfield
traded.
after Jonathan Taylor is oh my god.
Well, they traded. Yeah, they traded Naheem Hines to Buffalo, and even though he's out for the year, like you still don't have him
Yeah,
regardless.
you got
And
Deion
if
Jackson and Evan Hull and I don't know who else is over there. You had Kenyon
Indy,
Drake and you just cut him, so I'm like
Indy is
who's gonna run the ball?
super messing up, man.
Like
Like, and
who's gonna
that's
run
the
the
thing is like,
ball?
yeah, that division is not. I still like Jacksonville enough, but I mean, you had a real chance to at least win your division if you got this contract dispute out of the way. And if you weren't going to do it, at least make a move to get players back. So AJ Dillon, a third. All right, man. If you don't value
Or
Jonathan Taylor, at
or
least
second and a seven, I'd be like, all right, cool.
yeah, make it happen.
I'm saying, but this is gonna set a precedent because the Colt, the people ain't gonna want to play for the Colts. People ain't gonna want to play for the Colts. Like they're not gonna want to go there in free agency, or they might tell their agent might tell the Colts like, nah, don't draft me because we see how you treated Jonathan Taylor. Don't draft me. And the same thing goes with Austin Eckler because they really
Oh yeah,
because they really were trying to, and Josh Jacobs they really were trying to don't do that. You're gonna run them into the ground and use their production and then say they're too old or say they have too many miles. Like that's your fault.
Austin Eckler 100% should be the most pissed off out of all of them because he's put up like almost 20 touchdowns
The
2 or 3 years
last two
ago.
years, the last 2 years, 3,900 yards and 40 touchdowns.
Yeah, so he's not
What the
valuable.
fuck?
He's
Like
got the out
I
of
don't
all
care
of
who
those.
you have. Like you're not finding that. You're not just gonna find that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and the thing is, like, what they'll say is, well, you have Justin Herbert, you have Keenan Allen, you have Mike Williams, and that's the reason why.
And
You
them
know,
and
you
them
have the
motherfuckers
reason.
were hurt.
Exactly. That's the
Them
whole thing too.
motherfuckers were hurt.
Those
And
dudes,
what that
those
got to
dudes
do with
just
John? What that got to do with Eckler? That ain't.
Eckler should be the most. He needs to file like a class action lawsuit just against the Chargers, if not the NFL, because that man has been
Yeah,
abused.
that
Like
man has been used. Josh Jacobs has been used too because most of Josh Jacobs' yards are tough yards. Because I could be wrong. I think him and Nick Chubb have had the most broken tackles since in the last 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
3 years, 4 years, I believe so. I'm like, dude, he's not just getting yards, he's getting tough yards.
Well, the
And
old line isn't any good, and like nobody respects Carr. I know he's not there anymore, but like they weren't respecting Carr, and it was really Devontae until they got Devontae Adams. Like they didn't really have a really good receiving core. It was just Darren Waller. Like he was the dude, and yeah, like at this point in time, and what irritates the hell out of me, just to switch gears for a moment, is when people say, "Well, if the money isn't there at a running back." why don't you just play a different position? And we talked about that earlier. Like you can't just go from running back to cornerback. Like you'd have to start them at the age of like 5 or 6 and say, don't do running back, play something else.
I mean, if you're not going to switch in college, you're pretty much screwed.
You're done.
Because you
But
can't like you can't go from running back to another position. I mean, and then you could go to linebacker, but or you could go to safety. But if you ain't played that position at a high level, then it's not really going to translate.
no, it's really not. But
Linebacker maybe, but linebacker most linebackers ain't getting paid like that.
most of them know. But the
If
thing
you're not
that
an edge rusher or you're not Fred Warner or Roquan Smith, you're not getting paid like that.
yeah. Well, the thing that I've always kind of looked at too is like it's just a disrespect of like putting everything in its entirety, right? So we look at wide receivers, and I've made this argument on my podcast multiple times. Like when we look at top 10 wide receivers, who are they? Tyreek Hill, which he had Patrick Mahomes, but if we take Tyreek Hill out of it, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, like we can go, the list goes on, and those guys are younger, but and those guys haven't gotten paid yet, but guys like Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, none of them have rings. But what you're
Cooper
doing
Kupp
is
just won a ring.
he did. I'm sorry. Yeah, he got one. But when we're looking at the top echelon of the wide receivers, those like top 10 guys, like he's the only one.
Yeah,
And
Tyreek Hill's the only one that has the ring.
but we want to pay the wide receivers to get us 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns, but we don't want to pay the running back who can get us total yards of upwards of almost 2,000 ish, and 20, especially like Austin Eckler, like you just said, like that guy's been a machine, and you don't want to pay that guy, but we're gonna go ahead and pay the wide receiver.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everybody feels like, oh, draft another one. I'm like, I mean, you could draft another one for any position. You should pay them.
Yeah, you have
You
to.
should pay the
Yeah,
guys who you should pay the guys who produce. And if you don't want to pay them, then trade them. And if you don't want to trade them, cut them. Like you
yeah.
want to try to hold them hostage and diminish their value. Like at the end of the day, like I understand business is business, and but one thing about me is how you treat people matters to me. Like
Yeah.
if I'm an athlete, no matter what sport I play, if I'm looking at a team, if I'm a free agent, then I'm like, okay, how did this GM or how did this owner treat his players? Like who I would play, I play for Mark Cuban. I play for Mark Cuban all day.
Yeah, but I
It,
won't play for James Dolan.
yeah, of course. Like I'm saying, like that matters. Like all that matters. Like you can throw money at me, but like what I care about is relationships, and I care about being happy and
Well,
you
you
feel
made a
like
good
I'm respected.
right, and you made a good point when it comes to this with Jonathan Taylor, where they're kind of dragging through the mud. I equated 100% to Portland with Dame Lillard to once again kind of cross pollinate this thing. Is that he's put a lot of stock into you, like he's kind of backtracked on his loyalty stuff recently, but he's put so much stock and effort into that city and made you guys at least relevant that if they don't do well by him, you already couldn't get free agents to begin with to really go there. And if you do Dame poorly, you're still not going to be able to. And you'll be at the bottom feeding again and again and again
I think
because
Dame's a
that's going
little
to be the
different.
perception.
His is just a little different only because Dame just wants to go to one place. If Dame was just like,
Do
I
you
just
believe
want to
that?
trade, if
Do you fully believe that he only wants to go to
I
Miami?
mean, we're just basing it off of what we know, of what we've
Oh,
seen.
you're right.
But I'm just saying, if that's the case, if he just only wants to go to one place, then I think then that's a little different. And now, if he just says, "Yo, I just want to go to a contender," then that's different. Then I think if there were like 5 teams like bidding on Dame, then I think it would be a lot easier to trade him and they could do right by him. But if he's like, I want to go to Miami, and Miami's not trying to give me, Miami's not trying to give us the trade that we want, we're not just gonna send you there. Because this has to work for us. This has to work for us too.
Yeah. And I appreciate that about you looking at it from both perspectives because some people will only look at it from the players, some will only look at it from the business and the management standpoint. So, like, I understand if he's frustrated in Portland, good. Like, you should be. They haven't done much for you over your entire career. So, I'm okay with you being frustrated with it. But also, management has to say, well, it's still my team. I still have to run it. We're not just going to give you to Miami for nothing. We got to figure there has to be something here that makes sense for both of us.
That's pretty much what it is. That's the only that's the only difference between Dame and like the running back situations. But it's hard. Like Being a running back is hard,
Yeah.
man. But I wanted to. You're a fantasy player. I wanted to ask you because I'm in a chat with a trade, and there was a trade that wanted to go down. So before I ask about this trade, I want to ask your opinion. Are you buying the James Cook hype? Are you buying it?
Oh, in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Um, that one's really tough for me because
Will
a
they
lot.
run the fucking ball? Like that's really the question.
So okay, so here's I've been saying this for years and nobody wants to listen to me because nobody up until the last 2 years has been able to watch Bills football because nobody watches Bills football until they've been good the last couple of years. So what I've been hearing is, well, Buffalo just like you don't have a running game. The thing is that they do, they just don't use
They
it.
don't
So
use it. Yeah.
yeah, they don't use it. So and the other thing too is they say like Buffalo has a good offensive line. No, they don't.
It's like
It's not.
mid.
It's not.
It's like
It's not
mid.
good.
It's
Josh, yeah,
mid.
it's mid at best because Josh Allen masks the deficiencies of the offensive line when it comes to sacks, but he also makes a lot of hero ball.
He makes a lot of guys miss. Like, you know how hard it is to tackle that dude?
Yeah, exactly. So the offensive line isn't great, but by the same token, like they don't utilize their running backs, and they also got
Damian
Damian
Harris.
Harris from. So the thing is, like, if you're going to use, I wouldn't. If you want to pick up James Cook, fine, but he's not going to be one of those running backs you take in the first like
Oh
two or
no,
three
no, no, no,
rounds.
no, no, no.
He's when he's if he slides to you, I wouldn't mind picking him up because he's good at the backfield, has good speed, has the home run hitting ability. But like, I'm not going out of my way and saying I need James Cook on my team because you
No, for
don't.
sure. I mean, but that's just based on his situation. But
Right.
based on Buffalo. But so the trade in the group was this guy traded Kirk Cousins and James Cook for Patrick Mahomes. And folks were like losing it. And what I said was
Actually,
that's not the worst trade
it's
if you
not.
break it down. Like you look at the big name like Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Cousins is always dragged through the mud. Like people just blame him for everything.
If it's just fantasy, you're not putting your life on the line for a game. Kirk Cousins is still going to get you points.
That's what I'm saying. Kirk Cousins was top 5 in yards and touchdowns last year. And then they got rid of Dalvin Cook, so they're probably going to throw more. And
Yeah,
James Cook, if I'm assuming Buffalo, hopefully, if Buffalo learns their lesson, because James Cook damn near averaged 6 yards a carry last year in limited
dude,
carries.
that has
If
been my whole argument is that like the guys between Devin Singletary and James Cook, like they average like anywhere between 4 and 6 yards a carry. They just don't use them. If you want Josh Hero to be the like the messiah besides Jim Kelly, this is like you
hey,
take something off his plate and use your run game. You got three good running backs now, or you had three. Now you still
I
have
think
two.
I think you have 3 because you still got they still got Latavius Murray, who I think is like the perfect backup.
He's a great first. I don't even know, but that's the whole problem too. Is like you don't usually carry like three running backs. So I think that he might go like practice squad or something like that soon because
I
of
think
me.
they'll carry him because you never know. You usually have 3. You usually have 3 because they didn't draft one, so you usually have 3.
Not this year, no.
So yeah, I think they're gonna keep all 3, but yeah, I was like, but I said so 9 times out of 10, I would bet money that James Cook's carries are gonna double. I would bet that.
If he
He
can
had
get
87 carries last year. If he's healthy, I think getting 160 is reasonable. So if he gets 160, if he gets at least 160, Kirk Cousins is going to throw more because Dalvin Cook's not there. They're not going to make Alexander Madison run the ball. He's not going to have 300 carries. So, like,
if James Cook can get you 12 to 15 carries and 3 to 5 catches a game, then whoever traded him and Kirk
trade
Cousins
got vetoed. The
won that
trade
trade.
got vetoed
Won
because
that
everybody
trade.
was mad. Everybody was mad at it. The trade got vetoed. And I was like, I'm like,
Oh,
y'all are not saying that's not, you guys are saying that because you're trying to look at real life
the
football.
name of Patrick Mahomes. Yeah,
The
you're
name
you're
of Patrick
using
Mahomes is what's carrying is why y'all are mad. Like I didn't
because
say the trade was great. I just said the trade is not bad as y'all are making it.
yeah, because like when you look at the total yards and the thing on the matchups is James Cook probably isn't going to be your starter every game, and that might be I don't know what the other guy's lineup is or both of their lineups. So
Yeah, I don't know either.
maybe it's like hey you're doing this, but you're I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty solid trade because Mahomes is probably going to throw for more yards and have more touchdowns, and less interceptions. Yeah, I think we all get that, but it's not going to be so substantial.
It's not that huge of a gap like you're making it out to be.
Yeah, if that got vetoed, that's whack. That
Because
shouldn't have.
everybody was like, I can send you screenshots of the thread. Like everybody was just so pissed off. Like that's the worst trade I've ever seen in my life. No, I've seen some awful trades. A dude in my league tried to trade. He wanted Odell and Mike Tom. He wanted to trade Odell and Mike Thomas for Hollywood Brown.
And
No,
it went through.
no. Everybody vetoed that shit. No, and he was like, and then his logic was Hollywood Brown's going to get the targets from who? Like getting targets from who? Clayton Tune and Josh Dobbs? That's not really getting targets.
That's
And
wild.
also, like, and even if, like,
Wait, so
even
the
if
guy agreed. So the guy agreed to it, and the league
no,
shut it.
the guy offered the trade. He wanted Hollywood. But then I tried to send him, but this is what I did. I sent him just to be an ass. I asked for Cooper Cup and I sent him Quentin Johnston, Marvin Mims, and Rasheed Rice to see if he would take it. He was like, I ain't doing that. But what the fuck you just did?
So this is always my thing. If I had Michael Thomas and Odell Beckham, and I requested the trade to you that I want Hollywood Brown, that should not be vetoed because that's me being a complete moron. But if you send it to me, we're not. We're
I
not.
said, like, nah, it's some collusion going on here. Y'all not gonna do this, bro.
Yes.
I'm not gonna do this. You're not gonna do this. You're not. And then he was like, I could get Hollywood, and then I could flip him. I could flip Hollywood. So you're gonna flip. So you're gonna get Hollywood and flip
So
him.
is that this year's draft or is
Yes,
that
that's this year's.
okay? Because I was like, what year was this? Was Michael
No,
Thomas the
that's this
entire
year's. And
season?
even if Odell's coming off an ACL and Michael Thomas is coming off his injuries, I don't give a damn. You're not
I'm
getting that.
not taking Hollywood.
No, no.
You can sit your Marquister down the bench, dog. We ain't doing this.
No, we're not doing this, bro.
Oh, that's wild. People just be making things up nowadays.
Nah, we're not doing that, bro. It's that shit pissed me off. But yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on James Cook beforehand, but so we ain't got too much time left. But just want to get week one. You guys coming out with a win against the Jets?
Dude, it's wild. I didn't think that initially. I was like, the Jets are the Jets. I'm kind of over it and over the hype, but I don't feel great about it. Von Miller's out for the first 4 weeks.
Oh, because the Jets are at home, right? I
I
thought so.
believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Monday night. Yeah, the Jets are at
Yeah.
home.
So
But
the Bills traded Boogie Basham to the Giants, which isn't it's not a huge move, but you lose another pass rusher. Von Miller's out for the first 4 weeks. I don't trust Buffalo's offensive line, and I would like to. I would like to think that they could come out with the W, but they rely on Stephon Diggs too much, and I don't trust the other offensive weapons really. So I don't feel good about it.
so I feel about Seattle going against the Rams, and I know the Rams are going through a weird time right now, but the Rams just always fuck with us. Like no matter what the record is, no matter how good or bad the rosters is, the Rams just fuck with us.
That division's that division's goofy as hell.
It's annoying, bro. It's annoying, bro. It is bad annoying. But hey, always great chopping up with you, brother. I'm gonna have to let you go, man. But this was fun. We're gonna do this again.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll catch back up next when football
Sounds
season
good.
starts.
You got it. Take care, bud.
All right,
Thanks.
brother.